Welcome to another week, another show of Hawkeyed with me, Dave O'Hara. They're back. Craig and Stacy Schroeder, Fight with Flash Foundation. You've heard me talk about them the last couple of weeks. We finally were able to get our schedules together. They're back from Florida and the Dick Vitale Coaches versus Cancer event. They've got a big crosstown baseball classic to talk about upcoming. But before we get to Craig and Stacy, I want to let you know the rest of the show sets up this way. We're going to be talking with former Major League pitcher and former Iowa Hawkeye, Cal Eldred, is going to be joining us with our buddy Jay Whannel from Dugout Sports up in Southwest Cedar Rapids, Fairfax, Iowa. And then we're going to be talking to John Evans, broadcaster with our buddy, a broadcast partner with our buddy John Leo. John Evans is going to be talking to us live from Omaha and after the Iowa Hawkeyes' big opening round victory in the Big Ten baseball tournament today. So, of course, by the time this airs on Friday and over the weekend, you folks will know the results already. But as we record this on Tuesday afternoon, May 23rd, this is what's happening right here, right now. So, Craig, Stacy, great seeing you again. Thanks for joining us.
Yes.
My goodness, what a whirlwind. I'm getting tired
here.
watching your travels. Great to have you. Good to have you here too. But so Stace, we'll start with you, and then Craig, you're going to talk Crosstown Classic Baseball Classic and a camp or clinic you've got just before that. But Stace, let's you and I talk a little Florida.
Yes.
You and Fran and Margaret McCaffrey, Brad and Darcy Schaefer, our friends from Tater Tough. Dick Vitale hosted you guys, brought you down to his place, and then the big event center. Coaches versus Cancer. Let's talk about it, please.
Yeah. So we got to go down, went a couple of days early, had some fun. And Friday night they do the gala, and which was so amazing. And Dick Vitale, of course, is his amazing self. He remembers every single person he's ever talked to, I
84
swear.
years old.
Just amazing.
Two-time cancer survivor,
yes.
And still that sharp.
Yes. And they had a goal. They were thinking 11.1, ended up with $12.4 million raised that night. So amazing, wonderful, so special. And then Fran got the honor of introducing Dick. So that was so incredible and so special. And then it was neat because Fran brought up their 22s and with Patrick and Austin, and it just was pretty special because there was a 30th anniversary date of Jimmy Valvano, the V Foundation, and Austin had passed 8 years. They passed on the same day, April 28th, and that difference, 30 years ago, and Austin 8 is 22.
22, and
I got another 22. Craziness.
It is incredibly crazy, and we've talked about this off the air about just having the passage of time, 8 years since Austin Flash Schroeder has left us. But let's take a look at this. Also, Fran McCaffrey's birthday today on Tuesday, May 23rd.
Birthday,
the big 6'3", Fran. Sorry to age you out there, but it's public. But also, Dick Vitale mentioned, was it yesterday or last week, he and his wife celebrated 52 years together.
Yeah, saw that.
So a lot of anniversaries, but really cool connection as always with the 22.
Yeah, so when Fran talked all about that, and it was really special, and we just had a great time with them. And then the next, a couple weeks later, we end up with the Coaches versus Cancer event that we were there, and it was so Kevin Lehman, he is a broadcaster with you and I,
and he was also did an Iowa game this year on ESPN Plus or Big Ten Plus, but cancer survivor now, and I wasn't aware of that until I saw him at the game this last winter, because he had his head shaved, and I was like, and then someone said, well, and I can't believe I missed that, but good for him.
Yes, so Kevin invited us to come up to the Coaches vs. Cancer and sit at his table with them, and it's so great because he got to be honored, and now he's in remission. He's doing great. So.
Yeah, and I should say I did know that, but I just didn't realize he was in treatment when I saw him with his shaved head, and he was on TV loud and proud and gave an incredibly emotional intro to that game he was at. So glad to hear he's in remission, and good luck to Kevin Lehman continued. Yeah. Stacy, great stuff, and we're going to be showing pictures, as you've probably seen throughout this segment. Stacy's kind enough to forward some pictures to us to put on screen. The Schroeders with the Fight with Flash Foundation with Brad and Darcy Schaefer and Tater Tough, and Fran and Margaret McCaffrey, and Dick Vitale and the rest of the crew. Kevin Nagandi, ESPN sports anchor, and his wife. Fun. Very cool stuff. A veritable who's who with the Schroeders involved.
Nice
so
try.
There you go. I gave it an effort. So Craig, Stacy, thank you so much.
You're
Great
welcome.
stuff. So Craig, we got a lot to talk about business-wise here. We got a Crosstown Baseball Classic, which looks like you're at capacity with teams, but we always will take more interest. You've got a clinic or camp coming up the day before. Let's talk about that, please, if you would, for us.
Yeah, coming up here June 9th and 10th. So June 9th on Friday evening, there'll be a youth kids camp at Diamond Dreams. And so they're still taking registrations for that, and they will all the way up till we get to the event. And I know that that is getting full, but there's plenty of space for more people to be able to come. And then it's exciting. On Saturday there'll be the tournament, a youth tournament, and then also there's going to be 3 high school games that will be played as well in Solon. So it's going to be an awesome day, and it's the Fight with Flash Foundation, but we're really doing this, to raise, cancer awareness and bring communities together. And this community, extended community, has been so awesome to us and to others. And we want to basically showcase other families and other kids that unfortunately have to go through this. And some of them are still going through it, and some of them don't have foundations themselves. And if we can, share their families or their child's story, it's just really, really heartwarming for us to be a part of it. And, baseball was Flash's favorite sport, and with a little prayer up above that the weather will be really, really awesome again for us.
Big time.
And I tell you, we just feel so close to him, and knowing how proud he is that that we're there doing something for others and making a difference in the cancer fight.
I think that's wonderful, and yes, you are, Flash. Thank you. And I got to tell you both this. When you take a look at what you've done with the dance marathons, we're going to catch up next time with you about that. Online bourbon auction. Continue to support Fight with Flash Foundation, as Craig and Stacy have both mentioned. Continue Flash's wishes and their great work by online auctions with apparel, the bourbon auction, the dance marathons. We're going to put a pen to paper. I get all excited about that, Craig. I get a little crazy with the numbers, so I need you to put a pen to that for us and rein me in. But you folks, I want to thank you so much, viewers, for doing a great job with the Schroeders, and again, living out Austin's dream of fighting cancer. And great stuff out of both of you, as always. Craig, Stacy, thank you so much.
Yeah,
thanks, Dave.
You're very welcome. Thank you. So for Craig and Stacy Schroeder, fightwithflashfoundation via Facebook or fightwithflash.org. We'll be back with more Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara, in just a few moments.
To have a strong finish, you need an excellent start. It's true on the track and also in the field. That's why Mershman Seeds works tirelessly to deliver cutting-edge technology year after year. Introducing Starting Line, Mershman Seeds' latest advancement in seed treatment, now providing added protection from white mold and sudden death syndrome all season. Ask for Starting Line seed treatment from Mershman Seeds, your friend in the field.
Hi, I'm Joel from Tice Chevrolet. We've lived through some very interesting times the last few months. Ensuring everyone's safety is more important than ever. That is why we are participating in the Chevy Clean program. At your request, we will pick up your vehicle, service it, and return it after we've cleaned it using the current CDC guidelines. This is just another way to work towards exceeding your expectations. So give us a call and let us show you what it means to be part of the Tice Automotive family.
Welcome back to Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. There's our buddy John Evans. John is broadcast partner with our other buddy, John Leo, when they cover the Iowa Hawkeyes baseball team, Heller Ball. We've had Coach Heller on this show as well. John, thanks so much for joining us. He joins us right after the Iowa Hawkeyes victory today on Tuesday, May 23rd, the opening round victory over Michigan. John, a 13-3 shortened game. They did it in 8 innings. Hawks bring the lumber, but it didn't happen until a little later. And later on in the show, Braden Frazier must have known we were going to have his baseball trainers on it from his youth of Jay Whannel and Cal Eldred. Cal, a former Major League player and now working at Dugout Sports in Southwest Cedar Rapids at Fairfax, Iowa. And Jay Whannel, the owner and main trainer there. So, John, let's talk about the Hawks' big victory. And again, thanks so much for fitting us into your schedule. What's happening and how are you doing, my friend?
Sure. Thanks for having me on. It's boy, it was a lot of fun this morning. We got started early. They don't get a ton of 10 a.m. First pitches here, and first call for breakfast was pretty early this morning. But the guys came out well. They faced the what turned out to be the Big Ten Pitcher of the Year, and really did a good job. I know they didn't have a lot to show for it in the first 4 innings, but really had a lot of good at bats and did what the game plan was, and really stuck to it, and finally got rewarded for that on the hitting side there in the 5th inning, as they were able to break it open and get going, and then just kind of kept piling kept piling runs on as the game went along, and able to ended up soon, which, the less you can use your bullpen, the better. And so really set it up nicely for now how the rest of the week can go.
Yeah, and John, a lot of that damage was done, as you mentioned, with Honar, but also with Braden Frazier, was done with 2 outs and the battling that they did. But you count on those 2 to be your offensive leaders. Those 2 didn't do much at the plate today, and then everybody else filled in. I heard you and John Leo talk about that in the broadcast, and I thought that's a great point. Dorigi, no hits and a walk, and Ray Tortello 1 hit. Amazing that they scored 13 runs with those guys only doing that today.
Well, and that's what Coach Sutherland, when he came up to talk to John after, one of the things too, there's a lot of offenses that you can look at and say, boy, if we stop that guy, we're in good shape. If we stop that guy, we've got a chance to win. Well, today, the bottom of the order, Michael, start with Honar, 2 for 4, drove in a couple runs, would have scored 3, but Gable Mitchell came in to pinch run for him. Michael Seegers, 2 for 3, scores 3 runs. Kyle Huckstorf, who's been scuffling a little, drives in 2 runs with a hit. Braden Frazier, of course, drives in 4 runs, but had 3 hits. Yeah. And then Cade Moss came up with the big hit and the RBI to finish the game. But Cade does just a fantastic job of being a backstop there. And then, you get a guy like Whitlock. He's not exactly easy to catch either. I mean, I kind of joke on the air, he's not throwing as hard, but he's throwing a bunch of Frisbees up there. And if you've ever played catch with a Frisbee, kind of the movement that those things have on him. And, Cade is just outstanding. I've called him any number of times the best 9-hitter in the business. But as a defensive backstop, he really does a great job for the Hawks.
So, John, let's take a look at the future then. Again, by the time this show airs on Friday, statewide television on 4 stations and throughout the weekend on re-airs. And then, of course, we put it online on Sundays on DaveO'HaraSports.com and social media. People will already know the outcome of the Big Ten tournament. So as we record this on Tuesday afternoon, May 23rd, after the Iowa 13-3 8-inning victory, 1 inning short, they 10-run the Michigan Wolverines. We don't know yet. You said it's early, but Indiana leads Illinois 2-1 in Iowa in the 7th inning, and Iowa will face the winner of that game on Thursday. And then the rest of the Big Ten tourney is wide open. Of course, Rutgers and Nebraska will play tomorrow in their opening game on Wednesday. The nightcap on Tuesday here is Michigan State and against number 1 seed Maryland. How do you see this playing out in the Hawks moving forward? Let's talk the Hawks' next game, and then how you see the rest of the weekend playing out. John, please.
Well, let's assume it's Indiana. It's 2-1, bottom of the 7th as we talk now. They did not start their number 1 guy. He threw 102 pitches on Thursday. He's thrown kind of 100 plus in a few starts. So let's assume that's who we're going to get on Thursday. So he'll be on a full week's rest and back to normal. But he hasn't been quite as good as when Iowa saw him earlier. If you remember, Iowa lost a Saturday game in Bloomington 2-0 on a walk-off home run in the bottom of the 10th inning. And Luke Sennard pitched that game for Indiana against Marcus Morgan, who threw a beauty that day. So you figure Indiana, you figure their ace. I'm going to read Coach Heller and Coach McGrath's mind, and I think they flip-flop. They flip-flop Ty and Brody, and we get Brody on Thursday. So Brody continues the run that he's been on the last couple days or last couple starts, and so we roll through that game. You probably catch. I would guess although Indiana's pitching is so sketchy, so you can kind of get any of those 3 teams again in a rematch. You win that one, and I think tonight's game is probably who wins the bottom side of the bracket. I think the winner of Maryland, Michigan State probably wins the bottom side. And you talk about a tough draw, man. You're the number 1 seed in the tournament, and you get a team like Michigan State. Obviously, Iowa swept them, but that team can just flat hit, and they've got enough pitching that they can give Maryland all they want tonight.
Yeah, and you take a look at this, John. It's a double elimination tournament, as you mentioned, so you may have to dig your way out of the losers bracket or the bottom half of the bracket, as you mentioned. So we're going to have you back next week because the selection show, when we record next Tuesday, the selection show will be on Monday, on Memorial Day. So we'll have you back next Tuesday, the 30th, and we're going to talk about prospects for the Hawkeyes. And by the way, congratulations to the Hawkeye women softball team, or to the Hawkeye women, their softball team. They ended up beating BYU and scored 5 runs in the top of the 7th inning from comeback fashion. Coach Gillespie and her ladies ended up beating and winning the NIT of softball, the National Invitational Softball Championship, 9-7. So big doings going on in the spring sports still here in Iowa City. And so the Hawkeye softball team is done, but hopefully the baseball team can continue on, John, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me on.
You're very welcome. And John, thank you. He's John Evans, our broadcast partner with our buddy John Leo. And again, check out, you see all of John's information at the bottom of the screen along with mine throughout this segment, where to listen to the Hawkeyes either on radio or online. And do yourself a favor and check out my guys, John ×2, John Squared, and you'll love it. So John, again, thanks so much. Go Hawks. Heller Ball alive and well. So we'll be back with more to close out the show on Hawkeyed with me, Dave O'Hara, in just a few moments.
Hi, I'm Joel from Tice Automotive Family. I want to let you know our family's getting big, really big. We're now offering Chevrolet's medium-duty truck lineup. Whether it's a 4500 with the custom flatbed or a 6500 with the dump body, Chevrolet has the truck we can upfit to meet your needs. So stop in and let us show you what it means to be part of the larger Tice Automotive family.
Who do you trust to produce the best yield? A seat company that's chasing technology or a seat company that's writing a book on it? Merschman Seeds is a leader in technology. We're independent and family owned. Our sister company, MS Technologies, provides access to world-class traits and genetics. And our starting line seed treatment is second to none. Who can you trust with your yields? Merschman Seeds, your friend in the field.
Welcome back to Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. We're going to go screen left to right. Jay Whannel, if you raise your hand for me, Jay, please. There he is. Jay is the owner and proprietor of Dugout Sports Fairfax in Southwest Cedar Rapids in Fairfax, Iowa. And then Cal Eldred. Cal, if you wave your hand for us, please. Former Major League pitcher, former Iowa Hawkeye, former pitching coach in the major leagues, and now running the pitching program at Dugout Sports along with Jay Whannel. So first of all, both of you, thank you so much for joining us here on Hawkeye. And Cal, I want to talk a little bit about your Iowa Hawkeye experience as well as the major leagues on next week's show. So for this segment this week, you and I and Jay will talk about Dugout Sports and what's happening in youth baseball around the area. But Jay, let me start with you, a guy that you trained a few years back. Braden Frazier, we just talked about him on this show. We record this on Tuesday afternoon, May 23rd, opening game of the Big Ten tournament. Your guy, Braden Frazier, all he does is go 3 for 5 after sitting and waiting around for almost, in his senior year here at Iowa. Unfortunate with the gambling investigation with Keaton Anthony, so plug and play Braden Frazier, and all he does is close out the regular season in a big way at Northwestern last weekend, going 7 for 12. Well, today in the opening game of the Big Ten tournament, you must have trained him well. He went 3 for 5 with a grand slam. What in the heck is in the water up there?
Yeah, it's really cool to see. Obviously, he and his 2 brothers from Jefferson High School. So, they've been training. They've been coming to the dugout ever since we opened. And obviously being able to see him have some success like that in the postseason is really, really cool.
That is great stuff and exciting times. And, you have a softball player, the Iowa Hawkeye women I just talked about, won the NIT of softball, the National Invitational Softball Championship. And you had a player on the Iowa Hawkeye team, and she had a huge outing, especially in the championship game where the Hawks beat BYU 9-7 in a grand 7th inning comeback. Let's talk about her for a second, if you would, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Anna Streff is a freshman at Iowa, and the same way she's been training at the dugout. She would come in all the time with Maya Dodge, who just finished up her sophomore year at UNI. But the 2 of them would be in together all the time, getting their work in. And so obviously, you see the success at the college level, but all the hours and all the work that they put in, what goes unnoticed, but definitely she deserves it.
Yeah, that is amazing stuff. And, Cal, we'll go to you on this, but to see all of Jay's information, as you see it at the bottom of the screen, along with mine throughout this segment, you'll see how to contact Dugout Sports, and you can go online or via social media and how to get your kids involved at Dugout Sports, because as you can see, they are doing big things there with softball and baseball and just athletic training in general. So, Cal, you're handling the pitching there, and again, thanks so much for joining us after an illustrious major league career, a prep career. Before it was CPU, it was just Urbana High School. Before it was Center Point Urbana. I go that far back too, Cal, by the way. But then you had a great career as a University of Iowa Hawkeye pitcher, and then the major leagues with the Brewers, briefly with the White Sox, and then close out your career with the Cardinals and pitched in a World Series. So take us up to speed on what your involvement with Jay is. I know your sons played post-high school baseball in college and in some professional ball. So there's a commonality there with you and Jay. So what brought you to the pitching, being the pitching guy at Dugout Sports?
Well, basically it was really watching both my boys, both CJ and Luke, go there and work out. And that has a lot to do with Jay opening his doors, especially early in the morning, to kids who are either college players, especially professional players who are back in the area. And they need a place to go work out. And when the snow's flying, these guys are in the middle of really ramping it up, getting ready to go, whether they're college players or professional players. And so both of my sons took advantage of being able to go over there. Jay was willing to open up his doors. And so I've watched both of them, especially CJ, my older son, be involved and teach some lessons there. They, between Jay and CJ, they started and Ted Keprose and Keprose Physical Therapy. They started the Eldred Keprose throwing program that takes place before the high school season and college seasons get started. And so my role basically has been, hey, where can I help? Where can I, when kids are there, whether it's the professional guys, college kids, or my own boys over there. And then also with the throwing program this year, since this was the first year I was able to be home, those are just the things I've been able to do. And it all comes down to the fact that Jay and his partner are willing to open the doors to these kids coming in and getting memberships and then taking advantage of any kind of program that's involved there.
That is great stuff, and I know you were busy the last 4 years and no longer the Kansas City Royals pitching coach, but yeah, it was difficult to get back. And so Jay always says this, between catching you out in the field hunting with your boys, and you said you'd talk hunting anytime. We'll have to do that this next winter, maybe, Cal. But, for you, do you like working with the kids? Obviously, it's more acclaim and money and such, being with Major League Baseball and being a pitching coach, but do you prefer this, and do you like working with kids from a younger age up, or what was that transition like for you from the major leagues of being the pitching coach to now being a pitching coach and running your own clinic, so to speak?
Well, I'll tell you, it's been an interesting thing because coming back home, it's easy for me to fall back into helping kids of all ages. And part of that is because I was one of those kids. And so I know what that's like. I at one point I'd made a list of coaches that I had myself. Very, very long list, and a lot of them back in this area. I'll start naming them, and my gosh, I'm going to leave somebody out. But, Scott Brohammer had a lot to do with that. Ken Sharper, Jim Van Scoy, Dwayne Banks, so it's just, you start looking at that and realizing, man, there's a lot of people that have affected you as a player. And now coming back, I enjoy it. It doesn't matter whether I'm teaching and helping a 5 or 6 or 7-year-old kid just learning how to throw, or standing next to CJ and Mitch Keller, who are trying to, just fine tune something and get themselves ready to go. So, and you know what, you'll find that big wide gamut of players when you show up at Dugout on occasion.
Yeah, I mean, Mitch Keller trains there to Cal's point. Jay, Mitch Keller, the number 1 pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and probably going to be an all-star this year. And what a beginning part of the season he and his Pirates have had. And it's for Cardinal fans out there, and you being a former Cardinal, don't want to make anybody mad, Cal. We're going to talk Pittsburgh Pirates just for a second, but also A.J. Puck, formerly of the A's, now with the Marlins and Cedar Rapids area kids, those two guys. But you used to have Scott Schebler would come back there there and train for a while. To Cal's point, Jay, you've had a great wealth of major league talent going in and out of your doors on a regular basis. Wonderful stuff. So guys, Jay, we're going to say goodbye to you, and then Cal and I are going to continue this, but we're going to air it next week. So I want to thank you, Jay Whannel, proprietor and owner and trainer at Dugout Sports in Southwest Cedar Rapids or Fairfax, Iowa, and Cal Eldred, a former major league pitcher, pitching coach, former Iowa Hawkeye, prep standout at Urbana High School, local through and through. Guys, thank you both so much. Look forward to catching up with you soon, and Cal later on today for next week. But guys, Jay and Cal, thank you both so much.
You bet. Thanks for having me on.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Cal.
Thanks, guys. So for Cal Eldred, Jay Whannel, Craig and Stacy Schroeder, John Evans, and to you, the viewers, I'm Dave O'Hara with Hawkeye, and to my production partner, Michael Merrick, as well. I'm Dave O'Hara with Hawkeye. That's all from me. Thanks to all of you. And as always, thanks for staying tuned at the end of the program for these rolling credits to give our advertisers and sponsors the attention and credit they so richly deserve. And as always, to our aforementioned guests and to you, the viewers. That's all from us at Hawkeye. Thanks to all of you.